hiding there,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and nobody knew.
Mm-hmm.
But I stayed with the campuses who lived in a house
Mm-hmm.
near the gate of Concordia College.
Mm-hmm.
And there, I mean, I loved going there because they had toys, and you know, I we stayed up late at night just
Mhm.
talking and talking. You know,
Mhm.
they were older than I was, but I just loved it. But we could not open our windows, and at night we heard rumblings of heavy trucks going out
Mhm.
on Iran's street,
Mhm.
right in front.
Mhm.
We didn't know what it was, and so one night, we did open the window and peeked out, and the trucks were full of dead bodies being taken to the Santa Ana racetracks, and there was a big fire going on where they were burning the bodies.
Wow.
And we heard screams,
Mhm.
which meant to us that some of the people weren't dead yet.
So, did you know any family friends who were in that carnage?
Oh, we don't know. It could have been bodies from Bataan or
Oh my God.
bodies from elsewhere.
So this was around what? 42, 43?
42.
42 still. God. Okay. That's true. And then after 2 weeks.
So after 2 weeks, I went back. I didn't stay at, at my grandma's house yet. I stayed with my auntie
Mhm.
across the street.
Mhm.
And because they weren't being bothered,
Mhm.
so I stayed with them. And I had an incident one time. Uh, you know, I couldn't get out of the house because we knew that the sentries were right around.
Mhm.
And but my auntie said, I'm going to the market and I want to bring you with me. So I went with her to the market, and we came back right away, and that seemed all right. Although we were scared, we took a back road in the fields
Mhm.
near this, going to the church,
Mhm.
and went around that way to go to the market. And then one day I thought I would do it by myself.
Mhm. Bad idea.
Bad idea. So I went down and I climbed up the back fence under the barbed wire, and I was going to do what my aunt and I did. And then I chickened out and I came back before I even got there.
Mhm.
I came back and I saw the sentry right there at my auntie's house, just outside. So I slid down right away behind the concrete wall, the fence, and then I started digging under the fence, the wall, so I could slip under that to go back into the yard. So I dug and I dug, and it wasn't hard to do. So I get halfway in, and my auntie's bulldog greeted me. And my auntie's bulldog was trained to not just be a show dog, but or, you know, a watchdog. And I thought, oh my God, you know, he's not gonna know me. But his name was Puppy, and Puppy came and started licking me as though he knew I had to be saved. And he started licking me and licking me. I got in, and the two of us went into the house. But that dog really was very quiet and helped me my safety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I think the weekend after that, my mom said, it's time for me to go back to where she was. Because these combat guys weren't trespassing. They weren't coming into our zone, into
Mm-hmm.
our
To the big
place,
house.
to the
Mm-hmm.
big house.
Mm-hmm.
Except for one young Japanese
Mm-hmm.
soldier,
Mm-hmm.
a very young one,
Mm-hmm.
who loved to come and apparently and say hello because he wanted to play with the kids, and he loved my baby. I had a baby sister, and so he loved to come and just play with her, and the maid would stay there with my baby sister, and then one day I watched them.
And you were hiding, right?
I was in hiding.
Yes.
But now in the big house.
Mm-hmm.
I watched them and I thought there was something about this man that seemed spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
or he was not like those others.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came out and I went to him and my sister, and he started kind of talking to me in Japanese very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was just one time, and I knew that there was a touch of spirituality, and that
Mm-hmm.
another sign that the war is not just all killing,
Mm-hmm.
that there's something else that also goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Then they left.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys who fought in Bataan left, and we were sure there's going to be a new batch of
Mm-hmm.
these horrible killers. And that's when they told us we had to leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we eventually
Mm-hmm.
left and moved to Pasay.
Mm-hmm. And you said you stayed there for a year.
We stayed there for a year.
And then when did you decide to
And-
move again?
Well, my grandfather was going to have an operation. He was in Santo Tomas. He was already taken.
Right.
And so the family got together and rented this house near the beach. And
Near Santo Tomas?
No, in Ochoa, near the beach
Mm-hmm. In Pasay?
in Pasay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my sister got polio.
Mm-hmm.
And I was changing. You know, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd get up and walk to the beach to meet fishermen who would, when there were about 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
fishermen who came in daily, and I'd choose the fish
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to bring home. And so I was there occasionally. There would be a tindera, a fish tindera there who would buy from the fishermen, and I'd bring that home, and then I learned how to, I taught my brothers and sisters. We played school, and then I started doing things to the fish. I made fish mousses and stuff. And then I'd bring my sister back to the beach where I made a great big hole and bury her feet.
Oh, because she had polio.
She had polio.
Mm-hmm.
So I buried her feet in the hot sun and the left foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd carry her back home. And essentially I was beginning to change from a child to a grown-up caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
And then Santa Rosa College decided to open a branch there. and we all went to Santa Rosa College.
Mhm.
And
This was in Pasay?
in Pasay, a
Mhm.
branch was opened there.
Mhm.
And then the nun said, you know, there I learned how to do basket weaving, and I learned catechism. No, I already knew some catechism, but I learned Philippine songs and
Mhm.
and in Philippine dances, the tinikling, and this seemed to really fill up my life. I felt it was very full and very exciting.
Mhm.
And then we were told that the Japanese were coming to look for American names in the student rolls.
Mhm.
And so they said, do not come back tomorrow. This was what the nuns said. We did not. 2 days after, the Japanese came and took children out of that school.
Where did they? I mean.
Who knows?
Mhm. Well, I was gonna ask you, did you have to blacken your face or?
I did.
Mhm.
Not yet at that time.
Mhm.
At that time then the Japanese, I learned how to go to a small chapel and become a Flores de Mayo girl. And then soon after, the Japanese decided they wanted all those houses near the beach.
In
They just-
Pasay, yes. Mhm.
Pasay. They took over everything.
Mhm.
So all the people who were living in that area had to move away because they needed it for Navy housing. So we moved. My grandmother got an agent to look for a place for us to hide in Manila.
Mhm.
We didn't want to go away because we wanted to be able to
Near your grandfather.
be near Santo Tomas if we could. So she found a dormitory outside Santo Tomas. Santo Tomas was a big college, you know, and they transformed it to a concentration camp.
Mhm.
So all the former dormitories around were all of a sudden empty.
Mhm.
And this woman said, take this big place.
Mhm.
And it was huge. And we took it over. So we all had a toilet each.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
It was a huge, beautiful, beautiful place
Mhm.
with Spanish walls in the back.
Mhm.
And
So were you able to see your grandfather then or not? When you were living outside Santo Tomas?
hiding. We did. Before that,